but that's how I say it, the element, the spirit of the elements rising up in a form of fire and water.
I know they had a big earthquake in Alaska yesterday. There was a volcano the other day,
Yeah.
and the rain in southeastern Queensland and northern New South Wales is crazy.
So how is Morgan?
She's good. She's
She's
in a
good.
dry spot.
Oh, good.
The town. She's in Harvey Bay, so
Yeah.
the town is or has been cut off. I guess like a lot of them. There's nothing. There hasn't been anything on the shelves for like 4 days. I think.
Oh, wow.
No milk, no bread, no
Mm.
produce. Yeah, I told her
Yeah.
go out and get a flashlight and some candles because you never know what's going to happen.
No. It's handy to have some supplies, but I think we're also being forced to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're so used to comfort and security, and it's just opening up to the fact that being uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally, it's part of life.
Well,
So it's like
yeah, and it's
yeah,
hard to get distracted when you're uncomfortable. Like we seem to do our best when there's pressure, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So it seems like God, something must be coming in. Who'd you bring with you today? Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've got all these hands like holding me and touching me like, like what is going on here? I know. But no, it seems like to me that in part that okay, like we're to retain our balance as best we can and because who knows what's coming kind of thing, right? Um yeah, it's very interesting what's happening. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking at like I saw the day after this stuff happened in Ukraine, there was the Drudge Report, which is one of the mainstream media's chief outlets in the US, and there was 80 headlines 24 hours later, and it took 57 headlines to get to the first COVID headline. And there was only 2 COVID headlines out of 80, which the previous day it would have been 40, right? So I look at that. I look at Joe Biden. He gave the State of the Union address, which every president gives each year. After each year, so if they have a term, they have 4 State of the Union addresses. This was his first one, and looking at or just watching a few clips, it was like, oh my God, the cartoon is becoming a cartoon. I mean, it's so at the same time we have all this incredible expansion, like with people like yourself, that means something. Like there's something about the I guess the power and the frequency that people are obtaining on an individual basis that's you know expanding as well as the distortion or the cartoons expanding. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Hmm. You see, the only thing that concerns me in the last 2.5 years is that, as you say, on the world stage, um, people are tuning into fear,
Hmm.
and not just in one part of the globe, but in
Yeah.
the whole. But as you said, you see that there are many people who connect to the light on regular basis, bring the light in and hold the light. Because I remember that, like now that you mentioned it, when I went through the transition, that was 2010, Spirit asked me to travel the globe. Like for 10th of October 2010, we were in Japan. 11/11/11, we were in Tahiti. 12/12/12, it was Israel. And then, Brazil, Costa Rica, Cuba, Iceland, Egypt, Colombia,
God,
all of them.
you're a world traveler. I'm
But it
jealous.
was only because Spirit needed us to
Yes.
be. We never advertised anything. No one knew what, but there were so many groups doing that. So
Yes.
the light is actually um, grounded in many,
Yeah.
many spots around the world.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I
Mm.
was just watching the end of that 1 year grid work journey that Matthias Di Stefano had
Yeah.
going on. It ended up at the Sphinx. And I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking how many people and how many groups have gone around the world and
Yeah, that's
anchored,
right.
you know what I
Mm.
mean? And like that's got to be a force to be reckoned with.
Mm. Mm.
So,
And it's wonderful because you see, he's connected and he's following his inner guidance.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so are we, and many other people. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
that yeah.
yeah, it's amazing because of course everybody's pretty much knows about his series on Gaia called
Mm,
Intuition or Initiation. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Initiation. And but if you go on Gaia and you look at the series he did before that, which was about a year or two earlier, it's a 3-part series and it's all about what you're saying. It's literally
Mm,
from the time he starts and says, I've just been told to
mm,
start filming and I'm supposed to go to this place in South America to start. It's the heart chakra. And in its 3 episodes, and it eventually takes him to 57 countries
mm,
in like 40 weeks or something.
mm,
And the whole time he doesn't have any money. He
mm,
just knows what his guides are telling him. And it's so funny because if you listen to the story, it's the same story so many people have had.
mm.
He just has a very large audience. So yeah, yeah,
No, but it's great what he does. But as I said, many people did it before him,
that's right. That's right.
and we never advertised, we never talked about it. You see, each it wasn't a holiday.
Right. Right.
Each trip was challenging because it was energetically charged. So it brings challenges to the body, to your mind, to your emotions. You have to face yourself. None of the trip was easy, but it was
Yeah.
necessary. It was. I had this beautiful image of the people that I traveled with. Like once a year, we gathered in a specific spot. It was like birds. We all lived in the different locations, but once a year, we just gathered in the same place and we spent time together and did what we needed to do, and then off we went again.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So yeah, we all did what was necessary, and it was guided by spirit.
Yes.
It wasn't an idea in your head, or I would like to go to
Yeah.
Egypt or something. It was specifically for the energetic preparation for the transition.
Well, I don't know how many friends you brought today, but I can certainly feel them over here. I can feel it in my body, the energy in my
Yeah.
body and around me. Yeah, but
Well, I work with 11,
okay.
um, 11 highly evolved beings. So
Mm,
it doesn't matter if I have a session or I'm meeting you. Yeah, they're working with me, through me, with you, and everyone else who's joining in.
yeah. And
So,
that part of our experience, I think, is is what's becoming more palpable. You know, more there's more evidence of it, I guess. Regardless of what's going on, these little stories like yours and I guess ours and so many people,
mm,
it's it's real. It's like the fairy tale template is real.
yeah.
It's good to see you
You too. You
on
too.
a you know these last few days have been February was quite intense, and my understanding is March is going to be pretty intense as well.
No,
That's a
actually,
nervous laugh, by the way.
no, actually, I tell you from my experience, I feel really good
Yeah.
starting March. I don't know what I will be doing, what my role will be past February. It's total blank. Usually I see just one step in front of me, like I know basically when to hold sessions for the next month or thing. But now it's a blank,
Nothing.
but I'm comfortable not knowing.
Yeah.
However, the sessions in February were really interesting. Like the 2nd of February, Spirit asked me to, for people who took part of in the group session, just imagine that you're standing on a train platform. And the train is coming, but in order to go on the train, you can't take anything with you.
Right.
You can't even take yourself with you. So imagine that on the platform, there are all the people that you know, your spouse, your wife, husband, children, grandchildren, your friends, they all gathered there. But you can't take them with you. And then imagine all your possessions, like your house, your car, I don't know, all the things that you have. And you look at them, but you can't take them with you. And then you can't even take your story. So all the thoughts you have about yourself, you have to leave behind.
Yeah.
Because they are just concepts, ideas.
No, I know
how
what you mean.
would you feel? Yeah. So the
Yeah.
question to you is, how would you feel if you had to leave your children and Morgan and Soulogy and everything you worked so hard for? You have to. So how would you feel? So
Yeah.
it brought a lot of sadness and anger and depression. And so for a few days, I wasn't feeling well at all.
Me too. I think everybody here had a few of those days.
Yeah. However, on the 22nd, it
Mm.
shifted because we went on the same platform. And this time the train arrived, and in order to, the door is open and you can enter only if you a vibrational match to it.
Right.
So this time you would look at the people that are there and find one that you have a really strong connection with, like you love that person.
Yeah.
And as you're feeling that love, you feel the vibration in your heart area. You're expanding, you're feeling the harmony, the connection you have with this person. And you're not thinking about it, you're feeling it. And then you look at your pet, your dog, and feel the connection. And when you're feeling it, when you're full of that vibration, then you can enter and go on the train. And you see, the train is just an analogy where you feel so good. So when you go on the train, first time in your life, you're leaving control over your life completely to the driver of the train. And you can sit comfortably and relax fully. You're totally in peace because you're trusting and allowing whatever is going to happen. And because you feel so good, you don't really mind where or when the train will stop because you're feeling so good. So you're bringing the high vibration with you no matter where you go. So since that day, since we kind of reconnected with the soul in that respect, I've been feeling really, really, really good.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
keeping that vibration. That's why whatever is happening out there, if you can just go within and connect with that, then you've been of a great service to yourself and everyone else.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I think I mentioned this to you before, but when I woke up in 2011, I went homeless by my own choice for 2 years.
Mm.
Really, the first 7 months was pretty much all homeless, like not sleeping under a roof a lot of the time. But that's what happened to me then. And I think my higher self must have arranged it
Yeah.
that I would get go through a lot of detachment.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what it was like. And I was thinking about that the last few days. I was thinking about what was my mindset. And I remember what you're talking about was one thing, which was the inevitable. Something inevitable was happening.
Mm.
Uh, that I was going to be fine no matter what, that I was fine. And it was not like surrender, like I don't have a choice, I'm going to surrender. It wasn't like that. It was more like surrendering in faith. Um, that was one thing. And the other thing was, I remember being, um, how would you say this? I remember feeling unafraid. Like I was on the streets and I was in sometimes in some, questionable neighborhoods or whatever, rougher neighborhoods or environments. And I remember being somewhat fearless, even though the human was still conscious of things to be afraid of. So it was like I was scared, but I was kind of fearless, but scared. But there was just something about almost like an air of, well, what can you do to me that you can't harm me? Like my physical body could be harmed, but
That's right.
there was something else going on. So now I see a lot of this happening with people. And I agree, like February was what I noticed too was the things that you let go of, it doesn't mean you're letting go of a person or, a place or an event. You're just letting go of the part of it that's not real. So, like you said, think of the one person that you can kind of like reach that highest awareness or frequency of love, of unconditional love. And then you hold that and then you take it to the pet or you take it to the next one, to the next one. But that seemed to be coming in right at the end of the month after like, I'd say 3 days of integration, like where I could really feel it in my body. But yeah, I'm real excited. I'm very excited about what our capabilities are going to be individually and with each other. Like, what are we going to be able to do?
I know you get excited.
I do. I get real excited.
No, it's good. It's good.
Hmm. I do.
With the fear you mentioned, after the transition I went to, I was in an event, and one man looked at me and he said to me, "What is it like walking on this earth without fear?"
Mm.
And it surprised me at the time because I still could feel certain fears. I wasn't completely free from fear. But it made me think, and then I started to pay attention to it. And what I noticed, it was just a remnants. It was like an echo
Mm.
of the old fears. So they would show up, but they didn't have the grip anymore.
Yeah.
They couldn't kind of paralyzed me or imprisoned me, trapped me. They didn't have the power anymore. So knowing that you're not going to perish,
Yeah.
it's be free from that. It's great freedom.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
Yes, it is. And I remember, and I've been tapping into those moments because they would be exactly 10 years ago, right?
Mm.
So 10 years ago was I'm sorry, May the 30th
Mm.
through about the middle of January,
Mm.
was the first 7 months. And then some things shifted for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then when February hit, I went to jail for
Yeah.
34 days. And then March, I think around the 5th of March, or the 3rd of March, it was the 3rd of March, I came out of jail and everything shifted again. But so I've been looking back because it was 10 years ago, and a lot of the same energies are presenting themselves.
Mm.
So it's been helpful to me, but what's been most helpful is remembering how I felt. And like you said
Yeah.
about what that person said to you, like I was dancing a lot. I had taught myself how to dance at 49, and then I woke up, go figure. And so I would go into these dance clubs, and a lot of them were like, underground clubs and stuff. And of course, I'm a lot older than the crowd that was there. But I remember one night I went into this club and it was an all black club, and I knew the DJ. And so I was just dancing. I would dance. That was my meditation. I wouldn't pay attention to anybody else or nothing. And I walked outside, and these four gangbangers came up to me because there were some gangs in the club. They'd say, "Don't put up the gang signs or we'll close the club down." And they try to avoid any problems. Anyway, I was out there, and these four guys walked up to me, and they were, I guess they'd been inside the club, and they're like, this one guy walked up to me, and he said, "Me and my friends here think that you dance like you don't give a damn." And I thought, and I knew what he meant,
Oh, yeah.
but I knew what I meant, so I just said to him, I really don't really care what anyone thinks. I'm just there for myself. But that was it, right? Like that was it. And it was weird because when I pulled out of the club, they surrounded me in their cars. There was like one to the left, one to the right, one in front of me, one behind me. And yeah, I ended up getting out of there too, but it was the same kind of thing. I wasn't afraid. I don't know. So there's something coming online, I think, a fearlessness coming online, or maybe it's a knowing that we are eternal souls and that physically we can seem to perish, but we don't.
I like I like when you say I am soul, or we are souls.
Yes.
And you mentioned you went to jail, and I laughed, and because you went through real initiation. I mean, the only way to go through stuff, it's when you have to go through difficulties, real difficulties. And yeah, the stage that was created for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you had, there was no escape from it. So that's great. But it's really comical when you think of it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is comical.
So who would choose that for themselves to spend 2 years like this? However, it's only through that experience you found out that even though the surroundings were frightening, you were not afraid.
Yeah.
That's the only way to find out.
It was crazy.
Otherwise, you sit comfortably in your chair, in your room, and you say, I'm not afraid. So Spirit says, you're not. I'll show you.
I know that. That's exactly what happened to me, by the way, too. I'd slept in my car for like 12 days. I had a car. I had gotten a car, and I was leaving town, and I went and got a motel, and then 6 cops busted the door down, and they came and got me. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah.
So now you're saying that these memories, they're coming back to you, but now you can watch them as if you would watch a play in a theater.
Yeah.
So there is the character called Todd, and look what's happening. And you can literally laugh about it because it's not that serious.
Yeah, and then it's like
different.
Yeah, and it's like it gives you like if we think about our traumas and the ordeals we've had, it gives you like a respect and even a pride in being human and who you've been and what we're all doing here. Because everybody that came down here took a deep dive. I'm convinced. I don't think anybody lands here every incarnation and everything's just perfect. I just don't see it. I mean, we all have our pain and stuff, but yeah, I think that's happening. And I remember too, so there was like 2 years, and then I got a laptop, and I started meeting people, and I kept running into all these psychics, which was all arranged because there was I guess something was blocked in me, or that's how I just decided to do it, was to kind of connect with other people, and then they'd have these messages. I wouldn't know these people, but I remember several of them telling me, "Wow, you really took a hard road here. You're like a fish trying to swim upstream, up a waterfall." But now I look back at it because it kind of like, I was like, oh wow, did I have to do that? Did I have to do it that hard? But now I look back at it and go, wow, I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did, because
there was no other way.
Yeah.
You see, that's what I mean when I talk about challenges. You see, you have to go the hard way. Otherwise, you're not going to be shaped into the being that you are.
Yeah.
There isn't an easy way. To shape that character, you have to go through difficulties. And the more difficult the path is, the more you're being shaped. Really, I see it like a stone that needs to go through all this polishing and rough edges have to be smoothed down, and it's not easy.
I know.
But there is something that the light beings asked me to say, especially now that we're talking about the soul. Because when I think I saw a note that you made, a post, and it said, "I am soul."
Yes.
And I thought, oh, I am soul. And then I talked about it during the group session I had. And I just used an analogy with the people. So there is a string of wool, and it has different colors. So that's the personality, that's the person. You being born, you have, sometimes you blue, sometimes you red, you have different experiences, and then you live. So that's when people know themselves as a person. And then there is this. See, this is a ball of wool, and that's the soul. The
Yes.
soul is the essence, and it holds all the experiences you ever had. So all the colors, everything, it's wound together. And when you look at yourself like this, it means we all interconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love the most is that sometimes we say past lives, but they're not past because they still contain in this form.
Yeah.
So whatever you choose to do today, it will impact the whole. And I love that because that empowers me.
Yes.
So at any moment, at any day situation, I can choose differently. And that's the transformation we go through. So I can choose to go from hate to love. I can
Yes.
choose to go from fear to surrender. I can choose to go from sadness to joy. There are choices that we have. And yeah, we meet the same people dressed in different clothing at different times. And I just love this. So that's the soul.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's different to the person. So then the experience of life changes, how I view things changes. Um, I don't hold resentment to life anymore because I see that every experience that I had and every lifetime that I had, it was necessary for me to become the person or the being that I am now. So then you have more compassion for yourself and the journey. Because as you said, this particular lifetime, it's not the easiest. So
Yeah.
you feel compassion
That's
for
right.
yourself. Yeah. And you know that you're doing your best. And yeah, but in the process of transformation, of changing, um, yeah, we become who we are, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wrote a Soul Speaks, the stuff that I do to music. And the first line is, I just woke up again. I'm going to do my best. I
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. Yeah. Um, yeah.
So to me too is like it feels like that maybe what's happening is because you mentioned like last month with the anger and the sadness, people talked about grief. I mean, obviously our identities were dying, and but there's something about like as I'm understanding in my own journey, where we're at. The word alchemy keeps coming up. Last month it kept coming up over and over and over. And then Morgan moved into this place, and the first thing she was on video showing me, and the first thing I see is this painting of Merlin in like the forest, and there's a masculine figure, a feminine figure, and three fairy daughters with the feminine figure, right? And I don't know, it just spoke like alchemy to me. And as well as some of the other things I saw where she's at, I said, oh, this is a good sign. But it's like the emotions, we're learning to focus the emotions onto the only thing that they are, which is love. right? Like, so our emotions aren't going crazy over here and crazy, less and less. They're being more focused, and something is coming through. I know I've felt a lot more creativity, which has been a long time. Like, I'm writing and working with music, and I just feel it coming on in a different way. And I've heard other people talking about it recently too. So I think
You
that's
see,
a big.
that would tell me, because that's I told you that for 7 years I communicated with the light beings, and um, they let me see a lot of things in a different light. For example, like with creativity, they said slaves do not create. They are too exhausted. They don't have the time. So it's only when you become free, that's when you create. So
Yes.
what you're sharing right now, it would indicate that you become freer and freer within yourself. And that gives the space, you see, for the creativity to move through you.
Yes.
Yeah, because creativity, it's an energy that moves through you. So either through your voice, through your hands, so you're creating something, you're making something, but you can only do it when you're free.
Yeah. It's like a channel, isn't it? It's like a channel frequency. Like it's, I don't know. I remember reaching it when I was dancing. I
Yeah,
remember, I would never think. It would just be like almost like you're on automatic. And
yeah,
every
because
now
you
and then,
cannot think. You see,
yeah,
when you think,
then you
you,
mess up.
you become weak. Yeah,
Yeah.
you thinking, you putting pressure on yourself, you want to do really good, you want to be appreciated, you want fame, all this crap comes up.
Hmm.
But when you're truly creating, you're doing it only for yourself. And you're allowing whatever wants to move through you to do that.
Yeah.
But you're not attached to the outcome of it. Like with your dancing, you didn't care if anyone was watching or
Mm-hmm.
didn't. You were just with yourself, and you
Right.
were expressing yourself in movement,
Yeah.
where other people connect with themselves and expressing themselves in words
Right.
or in art or in paintings, or yeah, but it's that kind of expression.
Or in conversation.
Or in conversations. Yeah. Now it's true, because the energy is coming through the words as well. But not if they're coming from the person. Then they just shut up. But if the words are allowed to go through you, then they have substance. Then
Yes.
they're different. Yeah.
Yes.
So like I get excited when we're meeting, because it's not just us having a cup of coffee and talking about stuff that's happening. There is substance behind it. There is so much more.
And your
Yeah.
friends are here. And
And
your
my
friends.
friends are
Like,
here.
your 11 friends. Are they
Yeah.
are they tall white light beings? What,
Um,
what are they? Have you ever seen them in your third eye?
you see,
Or you
it
just feel
doesn't
them?
matter,
You feel.
because then you're just using your imagination,
Yes,
which
true.
helps with the communication. But like when Marilyn came a few times, and I loved Marilyn when he came through,
Mm,
because he was very easy to communicate with.
yeah.
And yeah, I love Marilyn.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was looking at that picture. I actually took a pic. I had her take a picture. No, I took a screenshot, and then I cut up the picture because it's a long, wide picture. And but when I was looking at it, I thought, why do I feel like I'm looking at a memory? Like I'm
Because
the.
you are.
I know that's what was weird. I was like, it was like somebody took a picture. So here I am under this tree, and I'm like this big-hearted warrior kind of guy with this big beard, and then I saw the 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 lady, which had this wild hair like Morgan does, and had this, and then these three little fairy daughters, and I was like, why does this feel like a memory? Like everything's speaking to us now.
Yeah, there
Everything
are
is
no
speaking to.
coincidences. So
Right.
everything you see around yourself has been placed there for you to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the painting has been placed there for you to see
Yeah.
and notice. That's important. Just
Yeah.
to become conscious for a moment and say, oh, I see this. Oh,
Yeah.
it feels familiar. You have no logical explanation for it. However, it resonates with you. Yeah, there is something. And it
Yeah.
was enough resonance for you to ask Morgan, or she did it, to have it closer to you.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not just a painting.
I
So
should put
she
it up.
had to move to that place in order for you to see that.
Yeah. And then and also in her case, in other people's case. Yeah. I'm going to put it right next to the Merlin up here. Merlin. No, like even, because I got a little download. I mean, that's what's happening. I mean, you get the so whatever's presented to you, then you get the code and then you get the download. And so she was walking around, and on the like a high shelf in a couple of 2 or 3 places around the room, there was all these glass bottles,
Mhm.
like goblets and just different old style looking. And that's where I saw alchemy. I thought I
Mhm.
remember being in like laboratories and having all these vessels containing different liquids, and I just kept thinking, this is a great sign because the people that she's house sitting for are something. It's almost like we collaborated with them before and they're leaving, even though they're not there, they're leaving the energy there. Right there.
You
That's it.
see?
That's right.
Yeah.
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 That's
So
right.
you
They're
live
leaving
on.
the strands. The strands are the strands lead to the soul.
Yeah.
Uh, like the
But
like a
when I first met you, I sent Morgan the books because
yeah.
I really think you would benefit from reading, because that would, you see, first the beings came to me so I could remember.
Right.
And so many past lives came to life during that time. So all the energy is in the books for other people to also reawaken the memories. Now
Yes.
you're talking about Marilyn. Marilyn came through me. So he's there. And when you read these conversations, they will evoke memories for you too. Because what they want us to know, it's all the characters that we played in the past. It's still in us.
That's right.
And you're right, at some point it will be activated. And internally, somehow you know that teleportation, it's possible.
That's right.
You don't have the evidence of it, but somehow internally you know that
That's
it's
right.
possible. And I tell you that I actually experienced it. I was in Colombia and it wasn't comfortable at all. I woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning and I was worked on energetically like a battery. I was feeling up, feeling up, feeling up, and it felt so uncomfortable that when it was time to go to breakfast, I said to the girls, I'm not feeling well at all. I'm like wind up toy and I don't know how to come down. However, after breakfast, we went to the lift to go to our rooms. And my room was on the third floor. And the girl I was with, she was on the sixth floor. And so we both know I came off the lift on the third floor, but I arrived as I stepped through on the seventh. So I moved just few floors. However, I experienced it. I didn't know what it was. It's only during dinner time we started talking about it. And one of the girls said, oh, you teleported. I thought, oh, so that's what it is. But it doesn't feel comfortable to the body, because it requires so much energy in order to move the whole body
Yeah.
through time and space. However, once the body gets used to the energy, it will be just like
Yeah.
movement. Not, but it is possible.
Oh, I totally believe it. And I remember, and I'm sure other people do too. I mean, like I remember having what we call near death experience or out of body
Mhm.
experience. And I remember the vessel felt very cold and heavy as I was coming out. because now I have, I'm very light. I could remember feeling how, wow, that was cold and heavy, like really cold. And then when I came back in, of course, it was the same way. But yeah, we've had a few experiences since she's been back in Australia, and we just had one just maybe a week ago, right after the 22nd, I think, or maybe right around then, and it was pretty cool. She was driving down the road though. I was like, "You better pull over." But then there was another night where I rolled over to her side and I could feel her leg. Like I could feel her leg. It felt like, it was very firm, like a bone. And I thought, am I imagining this? And I moved my hand over to feel like if there was anything underneath the sheet. And I thought, well, maybe I'm imagining this, but I didn't feel anything. And then I moved my foot because I like to put my foot under her foot and like rub it. And I did, and her foot was there. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God. I almost started crying. I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. But I think a little bit at a time, things are happening for everybody.
Yeah, too much, and we would go insane.
Yeah, there's no
so
way.
It's always a little bit and a little bit. And when you're asking yourself, am I imagining it? Usually you create something in order to imagine.
Yeah.
So that's how you know the difference. So I didn't imagine it. But I'm hoping one day to knock on your door. And I actually program for that we will be talking, and then you will hear a knock on your door, and I will be there.
I think so. I really think so. I really feel like that this is going to happen, and it's going to happen, based on our lifetime, let's just say, but very quickly. I feel like it's going to happen like within the next, next year. I really feel.
Yeah, I don't have the timeline for it, but when the light beings were conversing, they said many things, but there is no time.
That's right.
So I don't know if it's going to happen in this life or another life. I'm not attached to it, because the same thing when we were talking, and it was like first year, second year, and they said, you're going to write a book and we're going to help with that. And I said, well, over time, I said, where is the book? What do you want me to do? When are we going to write the book? And they would say, the book has already been written. And it kind of upset me, because I thought, you're talking riddles. What does that mean? But then I let it go. And 5 years later, it was true. They have already been written. All they needed to do it was to be published. But some things that they talked about didn't make sense at the time. It's only later on you look back and you say, oh, now I get it. As long as we're not too attached to it. So it will be great fun to knock on your door and say hi.
Oh, wouldn't it? You can try my new curry dishes. I've been making curry dishes.
Oh, okay.
They're good. Red curry, green curry, yellow curry. Oh my God. Oh, and that's another thing that I've noticed that's been happening is the experiences that I'm having are very sensual, like to the senses. Like when I make food, it's like I'm talking to the mint and the cilantro and the vegetable. I mean, it's like it's like channeling, I guess, because I'm not thinking about it. I can just feel their energy, and then I make it and it comes out fantastic. And it's like I've never tasted like this before.
You see, it's beautiful, because it means that while you're doing it, you are conscious. And I experienced that myself. Like, I would put love into a soup.
Yes.
And I would laugh at myself. I'm thinking, there isn't many things I can do, but I can put love into a soup. And then people eat it and they can taste it. It actually tastes different.
Yes. It's true, people. You should try it.
In order to do that, you have to be conscious and love the ingredients. Yeah. So, and you're going one step further. You're actually talking to them.
Yeah, I had this whole thing one night. It started about a month ago, and I opened up the refrigerator and I saw a lime and some mint, and it just told me, you need to go do this. You need to go to the store. So then I go to the store, and I'm in the produce section at the Asian market, and I don't even know what I'm looking at, because everything is in whatever, Asian or Vietnamese, or I don't know the language. So I just looked at one thing and it was like, get me. So I went and grabbed that. I didn't know what it was. It was Asian spinach, but yeah, so there's something going on with.
No, it's not that it's going on. You're just becoming more and more conscious, because being conscious, that's what it means. You go to the store. Remember one time we talked about gratitude. So when
Yes.
you go to the store, you're not thinking what you're going to cook. You're actually present where you
Right.
are.
Right.
So you're present at the store. And when you're present and conscious, then you can sense that some things want to be with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But if you're constantly somewhere in your mind, that's how people live. You know, they're driving a car and they're already doing something at home. They're not in the car. They at the store, but they're somewhere else in their mind. So it means you're conscious and you're present. Yeah. So that's what is actually happening.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my daughter sent me a message the other day, and she says, "I met this guy. I don't want to mess it up. I'm realizing that I have self-sabotage issues." 19 years old, just out of nowhere, and she said, "I tend to I have intimacy issues that comes out of self-sabotage." I'm like, "Wow, that's a pretty powerful insight." She goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "So what should I do?" And I said, "Well, Uh, don't worry about how you've been the past. Don't focus on what you want it to be in the future. Just be present with yourself and be present when you're with him, with each other, with your, you know, and that's it." And she said, "That's great advice. I'm going to do it." I don't know if it
No,
was
it
great
is
advice.
great advice, because I actually spoke with a friend yesterday, and she said she met this guy and he's a great guy, but I don't want to do what I did before. And I said exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
It's now. That person came to your life right now. So it has nothing to do what happened before or what might happen later.
that's right.
Yeah, so very good advice.
Well, it felt
And
like,
yeah, the light beings actually wanted to talk about love.
let's do it.
No, I'm not ready to do that, because there is so much misconception about it.
Yes.
And, in the books, in our conversation, they asked me that at some point they want me to share my love stories, because I have quite a few.
Wild woman.
But
You got a
yeah,
wild woman in the
but
house.
you see, I'm reluctant because they are so different.
Yes.
They're not the beautiful love stories that girl meets a boy and they fall in love and live happily ever after. They're completely different. So I'm not ready to do that now. But when I met you, I felt so comfortable with you. The thought came to me that I actually wouldn't mind to talk to you, but I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
However, when we have a transmission today, they will speak of love, but in a light language. So it will bypass the mind.
Yes.
And whatever energy is going to come, it will have to do with unconditional love. Because you see, we as human beings, we're not capable of that, because we associate love with emotion or feeling. But
Yes.
emotions and feelings, they come and go. And love, it's not like that. Love doesn't come and go. Love, it's a state of being, state of consciousness. It's a way of really being here in this world where I recognize you as myself.
Yes.
And that doesn't come and go. That is.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's many misconceptions regarding love. So it's much better to use the light language and connect with through the heart, not through the mind, and receive the message, and there'll be a resonance with the frequencies that are going to come through.
Yes.
Yeah, because
That
speak about love on a human level, it's not easy.
yeah, it's like
Because of
everything.
what we've been programmed, what we've been conditioned to believe, it's not like this.
Yeah.
So it's perhaps it will be better if they speak to you and to me and to everyone else in a language that it's a language of love, really.
Yes.
Uh, so what do you think?
Yes, and that's how the month ended for me. So it was like the 22nd came, there was still 2 or 3 days, I think, of integration, and so there was still some unsettling, and so we all have different things happen to us, and I even wrote a piece on it too. It was actually a transmission. It was a transmission, um, and I wrote about it. And so what it basically said was that what you're doing now is every situation, no matter what's presented to you, you just look at that in unconditional love. And you can't just say it. You actually look at it like, oh, Gabriela just said this to me. I'm looking at her. All I can see is unconditional love. Even her shadow, I love her, or what I think is her shadow, it may not be. I look at that as love. I don't look at it like that needs to change. I don't look at anything. Just look at it as unconditional love. And I remember getting that and writing something about it. And I had a kind of a visitation thing, and I don't know. It just felt like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, yeah. Two energies walked into my back, which happened to me one time with some galactics back in 2018 with Morgan. But this time, and I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. So one was masculine, one was feminine, and they were actually represented by my higher self and Morgan's higher self. And at the time, we were being quiet, like a lot of people. We hadn't even really talked in like 3 or 4 days, and they just presented, or they presented standing in front of me, and then they said the things that they said, and then they moved and created like a triangle.
Yeah.
And they said, "This is the Holy Triad." And then the next thing I know, they were coming around the sides and got right behind me. I couldn't look, but I could feel them. And then they came in my back. And I knew at
But
some
remember with triangle, because it's also in the books,
hmm,
the triangle needs a baseline. So I'm not going to go to enter, but every time you see a triangle, there's three. And
right,
the most important part of the triangle, because that's when they get together, but they need
right,
the base.
the
So
baseline.
that's
Yeah,
the base, it's the foundation of it. So you
yes,
need a real good foundation. You see, that's why you saw them like that. You need a really good foundation to actually form a triangle.
yeah,
Yeah. So first, just the two come, and then over time you form the foundation, the base for it, and then it's the triangle. Because they refer to this often. They say like my name even, it's Gabriela. It's three that came together, like a container of three parts came
right,
together, but they form a new form. So that's a transformation.
right,
Yeah, it's no longer three separate parts, but one
right.
as such. But yeah, that I remember that the most important part of a triangle is the baseline. That's what it holds.
It makes sense. It makes sense. That's your foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we do the transmission?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so once again, you will hear my voice, but there is so much more that it's transmitted through it. There's really like a symphony. That's how I say it. And that's instrument, it's been attuned to these higher vibrations. Yeah, and the 11 appointed beings of light work through me with you. Um, yeah, I do that about twice a month with groups. Um, and it lasts about an hour. So it's much longer than what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah. I also posted like a short versions on YouTube, like for courage to let go, or let go of judgments, or balance between doing and being. So these transmissions are specifically for that kind of attunement. But today it's about love. So I'm not able to speak about love
Yes.
yet. However, it will be transmitted through whatever it's going to come through.
Excellent.
So all you need to do is just close your eyes and listen and receive. Ashitiri kineke kanaka akomoko. Osho tokoro koko no kishi. Ishteteke teke naka akono ko okomoko akushi kekeisha. Ashtaraha naka aishi kekeisha. Ishtiri kineke maka ako. Oshoho uko okomoko oni. Ishta harakataka akushto koko ishi. Ishimaka akono ko kokoia. Ishtakaraka ike hakaka no komoko. Oshtokuko ke ahamaka akaka kinekaka. Ishta aka ake e kakake ishe. Osho, osho, osho. Ashi, 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 ashi. Oshuku no komaka e. Ashotoko oikasha. Ishara nakanaka ako no komaka ishe kekeke ishe. Ishtoro honoko okomaka ishiki. Ashtara ha ikeneka asha. Ashtata akukuku ishile. Ishmara ha ikanaka akushokuku. Uho komaka ikeneke eke ashi. Ishtekeke naka ako no oko moko oko. Oshtekeke isha. Ishe hakanaka ikekeke nekemeka ako. Ostere kekekekeya, ehakamakanaka, oshohokokokoroko, ashtakakakaiyashi, ishahatakanaka akomoko okokuyashi, isha, isha, isha.
I thought I was going to throw up when it first started because the energy like came. It was already in me from the beginning of the show. I told you I could feel it, and then it was
Because
like
it's
coming.
like clearing. You see, there is
Yeah.
something that it needs to move through the
Yeah.
body. Yeah. Yeah, but one thing we need to understand that love, it's not the romantic love. Love,
No.
it's powerful. There is power in it.
Yes.
And many times in the last many years, I've been asked to get my power back. Because they go hand in hand. Yeah? Love,
Yes.
it's not this jelly-like feeling.
No.
It has power.
It doesn't deplete you.
Substance. No.
It should expand you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It definitely should expand you. So that's why it comes to crack you open, to expand you.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Crack you open like a peanut, like a
No,
clamshell.
because people, we all walk around with like an armor. So it
Yes.
has to be trauma or something that will whack you here. Yeah, and it's usually grief or something really traumatic
Yes.
and that cracks you open. And that's an opening. That's what we call awakening. Awakening, it's really an opening
Yeah.
in that area, and then it can grow. So every encounter you have with every person, with every tree, with every painting,
Mm-hmm.
expands you. Yeah? And
Yes.
then you grow in awareness. You expand it.
Yes, you're right. Every day. Every day it's like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm waking up every day. It's like every day is it's amazing.
Because that's all you have. It's just one day.
That's right.
And then you go to sleep, and who knows? And then you wake up. But the dancing, I love the dancing because that's what they kept telling me for many years. You just breathe, smile, walk, dance. These are the most natural thing and allow the body to move in the rhythm of whatever. Yeah, the rhythm of the wind or the rhythm of the music or the rhythm of a conversation. You just fluid movement. Yeah.
That's
Easy.
right.
Easy.
That's right.
One day at a time. Nothing to worry about.
That's right. There is nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Now, in that one day, you see, in that one day, you have enough food to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You've got enough air to breathe. You've got enough. There is enough. You are enough. If you only take one day. Otherwise, too much into the future.
That's right.
But
That's
what we kind of aiming for, it's to embrace the fullness of life and life. Yeah, because it's the same thing. And to recognize that that's who we are in the essence. In the essence.
That's right.
That's who we are.
Yeah. It looks like the third is bringing good energy. You're already on the third. We're still on the second over here. But
no, I chose the third because I thought 3-3. It's a good.
I know the three's huge, isn't it? It's just huge. Such a huge thing. It's like that third energy is really making itself known.
Yeah, but it will take time
Yeah.
to form a foundation because a line it's not enough. It has to become a foundation.
Solidify. Yeah. Get solid.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
God. I'm glad I only had one today.
Oh, you only have me. Oh, good.
Yeah. I got 3 tomorrow, but it just worked out. I had to cancel my one this morning, but everything happens like, the schedule will be.
You only need one.
Yeah, with you? I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Because the energy will affect you. Sometimes I've got one-on-one sessions and it takes 20 minutes for the person to come through. The deeper you go, then it will take a little time like a diving, to come back to the surface. Yeah.
Wow. I'm ready for the month now. That was a great way to start the month. I
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
why I feel good.
I
Yeah.
thank you so much, as always. And I maybe we can get together in a few weeks again and see what's happening in April.
I told
Wow.
you, I love it. I always get excited. I feel the energy beforehand. Yeah, I'm being prepared, you being prepared, and then it's just perfect the way it is.
Yeah, I really recognized your team when this started because they came right in, like just touching me and holding me. I was like, whoa. Because you know how
You know
you
what
get
they
all
say? We
chilled?
love you.
I know, I could feel it. I was like,
Yes.
whoa, this is because I could tell it wasn't my team. And I could just feel it. They were like, you know how you get the chills and your hair stands up? And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, how am I going to make it through this show? But yeah.
No, you
How,
did
and so
great.
you're doing good and your family's doing good?
Well, I still live by myself.
I know. Yeah.
I still need to do that. But yeah, we all will.
Good. I'm glad to
Um,
hear that. Well,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. We're doing the same thing. We're
Yeah.
just trusting and not worried about when we come together. We know it's already done. And, you know, it's a new way of living now.
It is, and we are together. It's just not in the same space.
Yeah,
You see, that's the connection, the real connection.
that's right.
Yeah, it's not the conventional way of living.
Nothing is anymore. It's
Yeah.
getting, and the great thing about the ball of multicolored yarn is if you need something, you can go in and get the thread of the color that you need. Like,
You don't even need to go and get the thread because you are it.
true. Yeah.
You
True.
see, you are that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything is in you. So when the wise one was saying everything you need is within you, that's the
Yeah.
truth because you contain everything.
That's right.
Yeah. But instead of looking out, we are to look in, and that's where peace and joy and love and gratitude. It's all inside.
And Merlin.
And
Merlin's
Merlin.
there. The dragons are there. That's what I mean. Like, you know, it's become easier and easier to tap in to the ball of yarn. Like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
something, I'm thinking about something like, where can I go into and find it? Like, I can just go and find it. I can go if I
This
want to. Yeah.
and not even find it because it's there.
True. Yeah.
So all you need to do is go within with an intention.
Yeah. And reach for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
And the reaching comes through intention.
yeah. Yeah.
So closing your eyes, going within and yeah, reconnecting with that. Because it
Intention
really
is,
is a reconnection.
yeah, intention's everything. It really is. Intention is everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. I love you. Best to you and your family. And to
Thank
everybody in
you.
Australia, stay dry.
You know
And
how much I appreciate being here with you and sharing, and for you to creating this platform when we can be ourselves. We don't need to.
yeah,
Yeah, that's important.
no mask,
No masks, nothing, no armor,
no armor,
open-hearted,
just
just
buck,
sharing ourselves.
as we say in
So
Texas, buck naked to the soul. We're all just standing here in our birthday suits.
yeah, because it's that's the undressing. At some point, I felt this urge to undress, not physically, but emotionally, and just stand naked, as I am.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Transparency.
So you
Transparency.
creating this, yeah, what you have created allows us to just come as we are
I love it.
and be ourselves and share with an open heart. So for that, I'm truly grateful and I thank you.
Yes.
And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again.
All right. You take care. Love you.
Bye.